Hey, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great night. If you are just joining us, I appreciate it. If you're watching live, if you are watching this at a later date, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Um, Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of topics to go over tonight. I know this is different from me going from TikTok to YouTube. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of great topics that we're going to be covering tonight. For example, after this evening, you're probably going to never want to fly on a Boeing jet, literally ever again, ever again. We're going to talk about a Missouri teen who killed somebody, shot him 14 times, and hid them in an air mattress. A record number of guns that TSA found, loaded guns at the airports. Alaska Air, Tupac's the person who was arrested, Keefe D, has finally been granted bail. Will he take it? Can he take it? So there's a lot of things. And there's more than that too. There's also a de-extinction thing going on where very, very, very extinct animals, like Jurassic Park level shit, guys, they're trying to bring them back. So again, a lot of stuff to talk about. There's also another story where a woman is giving very Gypsy Rose by faking her daughter having cancer to collect money. No, Maja, at this point, it's just Boeing, not Airbus. So in the comment section, last night, what we did when we did this show, which I think I'm going to change the name from Headlines Unleashed to This Just In with Justin. And we did comments, and last night I didn't answer the comments till we went through this, but I'm going to try something a little bit different tonight. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go through a story, and then if you guys have asked any questions while I'm doing that, I'll answer those. And if you're watching this later and you have questions or comments, please feel free to drop them because that helps us get out. Without further ado, let's add this over here. And I suppose we should probably get started, right? So let me get my notes pulled up here because I don't want to miss anything. So Alaska Airlines is facing scrutiny as we know this. They were aware of the fault in the 737 where the plug blew and blew off half the plane. They had warning signs, and they decided to not ground the plane. They made that decision less than a month before the failure that went on their plane led to the grounding of 150 planes. Now, what happened with this is they knew. Alaska Air knew that this was an issue. They were getting signs of decompression, signs that there was an issue with the aircraft, but they decided that what they would do is they would fly it at lower altitudes and above land in case they had to do an emergency landing. They were just like, screw their passengers. We're going to go ahead and continue to fly this anyways. They were aware. They put their passengers at risk purposely, knowing that there was a problem. So I think that that's very important to note. Now, court documents have revealed allegations that Boeing subcontractor, a company called Spirit Aerosystems, also ignored safety warnings and falsified records. An employee reported defects in the door plug of this Alaska Airlines flight and predicted a major defect that's going to reach customers, which it did. The incident raised questions about Alaska Airlines' decision-making and accountability in aviation, as it should, because, again, the decision-making that they did was to allow a plane they knew was faulty to continue to fly. And I don't know if you've seen or heard the story about the kid. There was a 15-year-old kid sitting right next to it when it blew out. And his mom had to grab hold of him. His headrest blew, so it was sucked out of the plane. His shirt was pulled off of him and sucked out of a plane. He was being pulled out, this kid, a 15-year-old kid, being pulled out of the plane. The mom wrapped her arms around him with all the adrenaline that she could and pulled him back over. People could have died. Imagine if they weren't buckled in at that moment. So they knew about this. And I'm going to beat that dead horse because it should be beaten. Now, Spirit Aerosystems is accused of neglecting the safety warnings, posing broader concerns about the industry's practices. And the situation underscores the importance of transparency and safety measures in airline operation. And one thing about Boeing that we'll talk about is it used to be almost everything with Boeing was made in Washington. That's where their plant is, Washington State. And now they outsource so many things and so many parts that come in. But, in this particular situation, Boeing's commercial aircraft faced a major failure. causing 150 planes to be grounded, all the 737 MAX. The two biggest groups of people that have purchased those planes are American Air and Alaska Air. So, again, excessive amounts of defects were reported to Spirit Aerosystem, and they went ignored. So, let's go to the comment section, see what you guys have to say about this. Let's see what we got here. Trying to look back here. Why I don't fly? Well, flying's really safe. I have no problem flying, but this is scary. The age-old case of profits over people, 100%. And when they did the press, they said no one was seated there, and they have the highest safety rating. Well, do you now? Actually, right now, I think the Qantas still has, I remember watching Rain Man, which is a very old movie from I think, 88, 89. And Rain Man was talking about how Qantas had never had a crash, and they still haven't, but you have to go to Australia to fly them. American Airlines, yes, Juju. American Airlines has a large fleet of 737s, but they have grounded them, and they are going through them. So, close a massive plan. We'll continue to talk about this afterwards, but that's kind of what's going on with this particular situation. But now, let's go ahead and, Alaska Spirit. That's the other part of that right there. I got so into it, I forgot to give you guys that other headline. But let's talk about this. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, about Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre and the other woman who was a Swedish woman who he was accused of groping her. You can read that for yourself. Oh, it's not TikTok, so we can actually say he was accused of groping a woman's breast. He posed for a photo with a puppet. Well, he played with a puppet of himself, and he's posed for a photo with the puppet. Now, let's talk about how he got this puppet. So, the puppet came from an 80s TV show in Britain, and I forget what it was called. I just looked it up, but then forgot the name. If somebody knows, feel free to tell me. And it was a satirical show. The puppets look a lot like, and I'm going to show you in a second. If you've ever seen Land of Confusion, the music video by Phil Collins, it looks a lot like those. And all the puppets were auctioned off at one point, except for one, the Prince Andrew puppet. That one was missing. And the reason it was missing is because it was purchased by Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine purchased it as a gift to Prince Andrew, and apparently Prince Andrew loved playing with it. So, I know that we're talking about the puppet, and I don't want that to overshadow the fact that Prince Andrew's a pig. So, there's not going to be an investigation into him, as I mentioned last night. British police just don't care. He's the king's brother. So, he's going to get away with it, as he has for many, many years. That's what wealth and power does. The monarchy does, I suppose. But the puppet's weird. It was a weird thing to hear about, and it's even weirder to see. And if you guys are ready for it, here we go. That's the puppet, guys. That's the puppet. In fact, I'm even going to remove my face from this so you can see this. Okay? I mean, it's weird, right? Thank you. Yes, the show is called Spitting Image. I appreciate you, Chinnan. I love your comments. It is Nightmare Fuel. Like I said, it looks very similar to the if you've never seen the music video for Land of Confusion, you should definitely watch it. It's a great song. It's a great music video, classic music video. But yeah, this was it. So I'll look to see if we have any questions. Most of the comments here, if you're watching this later, are of just great disdain for the appearance of this puppet. So I should have issued a trigger warning, apparently, on this for y'all. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take him away for a minute, and we're going to get to our next story. Well, there was one that looked like Prince Charles. Beth said that she looks like Prince Charles, and Beth, I will say, is British, so she can say that. And there is one that looked more like Charles, I feel, than that. But yeah, it was interesting. Right? It was interesting. So let's go into the next story real quick. Didn't mean to have that. Let's put my face back in it. There we go. Let me see if I can scroll up so you guys can see this a little bit better. Let's get rid of this advertisement that wants to pop up. This is real time, y'all. And we're going to just take this full screen over on my side. There we go. There you go. You can see it now. So this is the next part. 14 times this Missouri teen shot this man. 14 times and then concealed his body in an air mattress. This teen is Jackson L. Pierce. He has been charged with murder for shooting a man named Dalton Coleman 14 times and then hiding the body in an air mattress. Now, Jackson has claimed self-defense, stating that Dalton Coleman forced his way into his bedroom and tried to strike him. Pierce confessed to firing the entire clip, emptying the entire gun, which basically led to Dalton's collapse. There was also an unidentified juvenile that was arrested that apparently helped clean the scene and wrap Coleman's body in an air mattress. His body was then found with a garbage bag over his head, tightly tied with an electrical cord. It seems to me that these teens watched a lot of mafia shows, maybe too much Sopranos for them. But yeah. So police were alerted by a witness who shared a residence with Jackson, expressing concerns about a possible homicide. Now, apparently, Jackson initially refused to call the police and later expressed regret for not doing so. He's facing degrees of second-degree murder, armed criminal action, tampering with evidence, and abandonment of a corpse. Court records indicate that he pleaded not guilty and has been assigned a public defender. The other person, the juvenile, was conveyed to family court, and it's unclear if charges have been filed against him at this point. It seems to me, because I did a story last night on another Missouri situation, it seems like there's a lot of crime starting to happen in Missouri for some reason. Let's go to the comments. Like I said, we're doing this a little bit different. We're going to do this between each story, and then we can talk about it at the end and see what the comments say. Because, you know, one thing I like about doing this stuff on TikTok or even here is I like to be able to interact with you guys. So if that happened, you would call the cops. You don't hide the body if it's self-defense. 100%. Why are you trying to hide a body? If it's self-defense and your life was in danger, then you take out the threat, you neutralize the threat, and then you call the police. Explain to them what you did. Wrapping them up in an air mattress, tightly binding them with extension cords, putting bags over their heads, that's a little sketch. And I have a feeling that the more they talk to Jackson Pierce, who's 18 years old and has just ruined his entire life, the more they talk to Jackson Pierce, I have a feeling his story is going to change. Well, he was literally in an air mattress. The comment was, I thought he was literally in the air mattress. Well, he was. He was wrapped in it. He was literally in it. So, before we move on to the next story, any other thoughts or questions? Because the next story we're going to talk about gives real Gypsy Rose. All right. Not to the level or the extent that Gypsy Rose did, but definitely along those same lines. In fact, before I get that up, let me pull it up real big. And we are going to pull this window up for y'all. So here it is. Pull scrolls up a little bit so y'all can see the whole thing there. This is Pamela Reed. She has been charged with theft by deception for allegedly faking her 7-year-old daughter's cancer. 7 years old. She portrayed her daughter as fighting cancer, leading to fundraising efforts and monetary contributions from local organizations. In fact, one organization alone donated $8,000 for this little girl to get cancer treatment. Then an investigation confirmed that the child, in fact, did not have cancer, which prompted the mom's arrest, Pamela Reed's arrest, on January 8th. She admitted during questioning that she exaggerated and fabricated medical conditions to receive monetary donations. She more than exaggerated, but fabricated his works. She was charged with theft by deception, which is a 4th-degree felony, and a bond has been set at $50,000. She created a Facebook profile called Our Ray, spelled RAE, of Sunshine, Team Addie Ray, to raise funds for this girl's treatment. The profile provided updates on Addie Ray's condition, including images of her in the hospital. Like I said, gives total Gypsy Rose. Joint statements by Sheriff Jason Mackey and Misty Wells commends Children's Services staff and law enforcement for acting swiftly to ensure the child's safety. And I wanted to read that part, and I put that in the notes because I think that oftentimes we see situations where child services aren't able to effectively do their job, and not necessarily because of any fault of their own. It could be the fault of the people just not letting them in because that's apparently a thing, or, coaxing. But they were able to do it here. And I think good job, because you have no idea how far this could potentially go. If you have to keep up the facade of cancer, you could start looking like Gypsy Rose did. So the point is, though, if you know of suspicion, if you have any suspicions of child abuse, you can call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline and let them know about that. This incident also sheds light on the complexities of child abuse and neglect cases, and it urges community members to report any concerns, which it does, because when people think of abuse, you typically think of physical or sexual abuse. That's what you think of, especially when it comes to kids. But there is emotional abuse. What Gypsy went through was abuse. Doing this to a child, a 7-year-old, making her fake cancer, is also abuse. So if you know of anybody who might be in that situation, or you're in that situation yourself, of course, hopefully there's no children watching this, then definitely call. Go to the comments and see what we have here. Dominique, the child, was 7 years old. There's a very popular TikToker who faked cancer. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember the name. There's a lot of comments on this one, guys. Let's take a look. All right, we have good feedback that they like this comment. They like this format of stories and comments. It infuriates me when people fake cancer. It's a sore spot. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here real quick, actually, this comment, because I think it's really good. And it does to me too. And the thing is, maybe I'm a little superstitious, but I don't want to put that on me. I don't want to put that juju or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to put that on me. I don't want to put that on my child. Don't fake sicknesses. That's just karma's going to get you. How does one fake cancer? Rachel asks. I don't know. That is outside of my realm, and I don't plan to learn. Dominique asked how old the child was. Child was 7 years old. And just to kind of give you an example of how other countries do it, Maja here is in Sweden, or Swedish. I think, are you in Norway or Sweden? I can't remember which one you're in. You're in one of the Nordic countries. And I can't understand American system. We have a nationwide online system where journals are kept. Yeah. I mean, we have the Medical Information Bureau, but if people get through it or fake it, then yeah, that's what ends up happening. So anyways, we'll see what happens to her. Hopefully she goes to jail for a long, long time, because she deserves to go to jail for a long, long time, in my opinion. So this next story, though, is one that's kind of close to my heart. Let me take this comment down real quick. And if you don't know what this story is, it involves somebody who, once they were old enough, went no contact with their family, with their parents. And because of this, their parents are suing them. All right? Hopefully you caught that. They're suing them. I need to find where this one went. I can't find that article. Give me 1 second, guys. I think I accidentally lost it. Bear with me. I lost my article, guys. So keep asking questions. I guess I don't have to put it up there. There it is. Make it big. Allow that. Let's get this put up here and share it with y'all. Here we go. Scroll up so you can see this. She moved out of the home when she was 18. She went full. All right, we're getting this. Pop-ups, guys. She went full no contact, and her parents are suing her. I hate all the little things that are moving on this. This site is so spammy. So let's do this. Because it's so spammy, let's make it smaller. So what happened in this situation? We don't know the name of this 18-year-old. She wished to remain anonymous. She moved from the U.S. Oh, she's from the U.S. It's a British article. She lives in the U.S. American teenager, 18. Moved out and cut off contact with her parents the minute she turned 18. Apparently, her parents allegedly forced her to give a portion of her paycheck. This girl worked as a teenager, underage teenager, living in their house. And the parents forced her to give a portion of her paycheck to them as quote unquote gratitude. All right, we can't do this because this is just so much stuff popping up here. You'll see this? This is crazy. We're just going to not do that. We're just going to read it. That was just way too much. The parents are now suing her for $5,000. And you want to know why? They're calling it a loss of income. Their underage child moved out when she became of age, which was her right to do. And they stopped taking her money. And so now they're suing her for $5,000 as a loss of earnings, loss of income. Now, the girl or woman revealed financial abuse and past physical abuse by her parents. She took to Reddit on this, a Reddit post. Well, maybe she didn't, but somebody took to Reddit on this and post there flooded with her with support. And most readers side with the teen. Now, a lot of y'all have heard me talk about the statistic when I talk about my book here, Boundaries. If you haven't ordered it, you should. This is a shameless plug while we talk about this article. You've heard me say that 26% of people, of millennials and Gen Z, are no contact with a family member. I was in a live earlier this evening on TikTok with somebody else who will hopefully be in the narcissistic live that we're going to do here on YouTube in the not too distant future. I brought up that statistic and I couldn't remember details, so I went and looked it back up. And it's not just 26% of millennials and Gen Z being no contact with a family member. It's 26% being no contact with a parent. And parents like this don't understand why. They don't understand why. She expresses satisfaction with her current living situation and plans to improve her grades. A male friend of hers, says an older male friend is how they worded it, helped her realize the abusive nature of her parents. And there have been a lot of suggestions from commenters, including telling her to ignore them and don't engage in a potential lawsuit. If she gets served with papers, you can't really ignore engaging in it, but it is what I would consider a frivolous lawsuit, right? So I'm going to do this real quick. This book, when that woman has kids, and if she has kids, and they want to know about their grandparents, they need this book. If you don't have it, you should order it. I've got 7 copies left of the softcover that can go out as soon as tomorrow. 8 copies, 7 copies. Go to my website if you want to order it, justinontiktok.com. You will see the books there. Soft covers are left. I will sign them for anybody who orders one. And we're going to get to the next story, I promise. And if I do happen to run out when you order, still order because the new books are on their way. They should be here hopefully next week. That's the goal. Fingers crossed. Hardcover and soft cover, and they will go out too. So let's take a look at the comments for this. Hopefully a court will shut it down. Oh, there's a lot of comments. I need to scroll way up. I'm going to start with the very first one. Parents suing an 18-year-old. I can see why she went no contact already. Yeah, you think? If this was their attitude, look, I don't know how many of y'all worked when you were in high school. I worked when I was in high school. I started off working under the table for a hardware store, and I literally walked to work. I was 13 years old. They would hire me because that's how I had to get things, right? 13 years old. When I turned 14, I got a job at McDonald's, and it was actually, believe it or not, the person who owned that franchise was so abusive and hostile that it was truly a hostile work environment. 15, I went to Kroger. 16, I went to Publix, and after that, I went to retail. My mom, being as bad as she was, would have never asked for my money. And the reason for that is because there's a comment that somebody else said. Right here. Dominique Romero. Providing for your child is your damn job. I can't stand parents who try to shame their kids for having to do their parental responsibilities. That's right. When you have a kid, when you have a child, it is your job to provide for them. I'm not saying in excess. That's up to you if you want to provide things outside, but food, water, shelter, clothing, that is your job as a parent. Sometimes education, oftentimes education. It should be education um, when they can afford it. It is your job. You do not take from a 16-year-old, 15, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old living under your roof as your child when they're already making probably next to nothing and only able to work part-time because they are also in school full-time. And that's what I think a lot of people don't necessarily remember is that school in and of itself is a full-time job. So if they have a job on top of that, they have the full-time job of school, the homework, any extracurriculars, any hobbies, plus a job. These kids are put under a lot of pressure, and to be taking money from them is just, in my opinion, you know what? It's just shitty. It's really, really fucking shitty. That is what it is. I don't blame them for going no contact. These parents, over their actions of probably a few $1,000s over the years, have now cost them a relationship with their daughter, probably for life. The lawsuit, I'm quite sure, was the final nail in the coffin. Let's take a look at this. See if there's any more. You don't have kids to create an insurance policy for yourself. I swear some people need a license to procreate. I agree with that. That lawsuit will go nowhere. I'm going to put this one up because it goes to my shameless plug. Boundaries is a great, fantastic book. Thank you, guys. This one, too, right below it. And thank you, Alyssa. I appreciate you doing that, too. Beth, me too. I started working at 15. I would like to know more of that story on a later date, Beth. Beth again with another one. I would want my child to put their money into a savings account. So my daughter is 4. And again, what we try to do is we try to break generational cycles. I'm no contact with my mom. I'm very limited contact with my dad right now. And when my daughter was born, I started a college fund for her. I also started a savings account. I think like 20 or $25 a month or something like that. Not very much. It goes in it. Anytime somebody gives her money, we put it in that account. When people don't know what to get her for gifts, we say, hey, donate to her college fund. Because we want to give her that. And I want her to be able to finish college without any debt. I want her to have some money when she gets to a point. She's not going to know about these accounts for a while. That I think that might be going overboard for some people. A lot of people can't necessarily afford to do that. But your goal is to try to set your child up for success. Your goal is to help your child be better, the next generation be better than the last. That's the goal, in my opinion. Maja's having issues with her parents, not giving them an animal back. Cindy, I worked and bought all my younger siblings' school clothes and shoes. I know that this happens to people. You end up, especially if you're an older sibling, getting put in that family role, the parent role, and it's not your job to do that. That happened actually with my dad as well. His older sister is significantly older, and she did a lot for him. He lived with them at some point. Absolutely crazy. So let's keep scrolling, look at the comments. There's a lot of comments on this one, guys. Honestly, the more I learn about some people who end up with kids, the more I think we need to be a lot more careful about who gets to have kids. Well, I agree. And I agree 100%. But that and rights and them coming after things like birth control and morning after pills is going to make a lot of other people who don't want kids have kids. And I think it's going to end up in more abuse. That's my opinion. You can disagree with me. I'm totally okay with that. If there's no more questions, let's move on to this next one. This next story, y'all, is fucking mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Like sci-fi, Jurassic Park level shit. To the point that I don't even know what to think about it. And so we're going to talk about it. This is something that I have had on my radar. I know I'm really building this up, guys. This is something that I have had on my radar for a long time, and I've been meaning to make a TikTok video. Maybe after doing this, I will do it tomorrow or edit this section out and do one. But It's called de-extinction. De-extinction. Let me get it pulled up here. Give me 1 second. I'm having technical difficulties there. I cannot find the one that I want. So let me do the thing I did where I'm like, let's just get this pulled up. So the first animal we're going to talk about, I've seen discrepancies on how long it's been extinct. I've seen as recently as 4,000 years. I've seen as long ago as 10,000 to 14,000 years. That's how long this animal has been extinct. Okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about, we are talking about this. Let me get this bigger. We'll make this one bigger because this one's cool. Let's scroll this one up. You're reading that right. Well, if you stop showing us, I hate these. I need to really find a better way to do this. Nevertheless, woolly mammoths. Woolly mammoths, guys. They believe we can have them in Texas by 2028. Okay? This is a Dallas-based company called Colossal Biosciences, and they're working on a project to de-extinct the woolly mammoth. And there are other animals, which we're going to talk about, that they're working on too. This goes way over my head, but the project aims to use DNA from an Asian elephants and woolly mammoths that they've been able to pull from, frozen in the tundra or whatever they have left, fossils, I don't know, whatever they have, to re-engineer the genome of an Asian elephant to reflect that of a woolly mammoth. Researchers are using gene editing technology for this purpose, and Colossal Biosciences is also working on creating artificial wombs to grow a woolly mammoth calf with a due date set for 2028. The project's chief animal officer is a man by the name of Matt James, and he emphasizes the potential impact on endangered species, conservation, and addressing global climate change. The company has raised $225 million for its research since launching in 2021. There's also work underway on habitats to rewild the animals at sustainable levels, to return them to habitats that they're used to, or what they would have been used to. It's a very ambitious goal. Again, been extinct somewhere between 4,000 and 10,000 years. They went extinct when we were still in BCs. Long before Jesus. Like 4,000 years plus before Jesus, maybe longer than that, before recorded history. For a lot of the woolly mammoths, depending on which year. But again, that's not the only one they're planning on reviving. They also, and I'm not going to show you an article on this first one, but the other one they're planning on reviving, one of the ones they're planning on reviving is a Tasmanian tiger, which went extinct, I think, about like 87 years ago. They're looking at reintroducing it to its habitat as well. It's not been gone that long. But then there's also this one. Where did it go? The not so extinct dodo bird, who went extinct, if I'm not mistaken, in 1632. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure it was 1632. Now, in this situation, Colossal Biosciences is collaborating with it's called the Mauritian, I can't say it, Mauritian, Mauritian Wildlife Foundation. Meritus, is it Meritus? Maybe Meritus. Yeah, Wildlife Foundation to bring the extinct dodo bird and reintroduce it back into Meritus. I was wrong on the year, guys. It's been extinct since 1681. So it's been extinct longer than America's been a country. And Colossal plans to recreate it using genetic engineering. They have sequenced the full genomes of the dodo bird, solitaire, and Nicobar pigeon, which is the dodo's closest living relative. And geneticists are researching if primordial germ cells, which are known as PGCs, from the Nicobar pigeon can turn into sperm and eggs, which would be a crucial step for the hybridized reproduction. The plan involves editing, again, way over my head, guys. I had to write this down because otherwise I would get it completely wrong trying to talk about it. But the plan involves editing Nicobar pigeon PGCs, those primordial germ cells, to express dodo traits, inserting them into sterile chicken and rooster embryos, and producing hybridized offspring resembling that of the dodo. Colossal is also partnering with the Mauritian Wildlife Foundation to find suitable locations in Mauritius for dodo reintroduction. Possible locations include Black River Gorges National Park, Round Island, and something that I can't say because it looks French, maybe. Challenges include controlling predators, poaching, and human interference, which is how it went extinct in the first place. However, they do believe that the dodo's return could benefit the environment by restoring ecosystems and aiding in the dispersal of seeds. The project aims to inspire conservation optimism and contribute to wider conservation efforts. Critics are raising questions about the practicality of recreating the dodo, emphasizing the complexity and potential risks involved. The director of the Mauritian Wildlife Foundation emphasizes the need for a cautious approach, considering de-extinction as an additional tool, but not a replacement for conventional conservation methods. Basically saying that if we get to the point that we can bring them back, let's not make that the what we want to do. Let's try to prevent it in the first place, which of course I agree. Now, for the dodo project, the timeline is uncertain, and expectations believe that it could take a decade or possibly even longer. Now, we have to have a lot of talk about this, right? This is crazy. This is crazy. Oh, you guys have a lot of comments on this. Let's go back and take a look. Do they think they'll save the world by doing this? This is actually a great question. So this was not my notes that I wrote, but from the article that I read. They do not necessarily for the dodo. They believe the dodo could help with the ecosystem where it once was. With the woolly mammoth, they believe, and don't quote me on what I'm going to say, but they believe that they hold the key to treat a lot of diseases, a lot of issues. That's one of the, I'm not. I'm just going to say I'm not intelligent enough to tell you exactly why or how, but that's what they've discovered. Now you got to remember, with woolly mammoths, there have been some discovered completely frozen in the tundra, fully intact. In fact, I'm pretty sure in the 1920s, somebody they said it wasn't very good, but ate woolly mammoth that had been extinct and frozen for probably 10,000 years. And they ate it, and it was fine. They didn't get sick or anything like that. Like it was like in the 1920s. So they have like the ability to, flesh and all that kind of stuff. So, Beth, you're not wrong with those up there. People, can you just give us affordable healthcare? No. Woolly mammoth. Exactly. It's kind of funny. Imagine one of these running in front of your car. But here's the thing. We start with woolly mammoths, dodo birds, Tasmanian tigers. When do we get to Jurassic Park? I'm just very curious. Beth, so we could just have mammoths roaming around. I wonder if this will affect the current ecosystem. Probably not, because their goal is to reintroduce them into the habitats they would have been used to. And I would imagine with a woolly mammoth, you're going to be talking about very, very cold climates, Siberia perhaps, maybe the Arctic, South Pole, things like that. That'd be I don't know, but maybe. I realized it was a movie, but did we not learn how insane stuff like this could be? They went extinct for a reason, survival of the fittest. So that's actually, you're partially right on this, Shannon, and you know that I love you. So I mean this very respectfully, obviously. Most of the reason why these animals went extinct were due to humans. It wasn't a survival of the fittest. I mean, as far as the top of the food chain goes, as far as intelligence goes, humans are up there. We've wiped out entire species for, ivory is an example of something that we killed a ton of elephants for at one point. Doing it just for the sport, the fun of it. People are the biggest reason for a lot of these going extinct. But we did see Jurassic Park. That was a movie. We know how it ends. I know at least how the first couple, and I didn't see any after that. But My brother once told me, this was back in the 90s, that they can think about it in science fiction, then it's possible. You just have to get to a point where it can happen, where the technology exists. Tristan says the dodo bird would be cool to have around, a bit terrifying, but kind of cool. I think it'd be cool. So, crazy, absolutely insane story that the technology exists for us to be able to do this. Just mind absolutely blown. Crazy, crazy stuff. So, the next one I'm going to talk about, next thing we're going to talk about is a very, I'm going to call it a very American story. What we're going to talk about is, get it pulled up here. This, let me get myself a little bit smaller. Put me down in the corner here. There we go. TSA found a record number of firearms at airport checkpoints in 2023. The kicker is most of them were loaded. Okay? So TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, reported a record number found at airport security checkpoints. A total of 6,737 firearms were intercepted. This averages to about 18 a day, and 93%, 93 of them were loaded. People walking into the airport, loaded guns. 2022 was also a record, which we surpassed this year. So, yay, America. Last year was 6,542 compared to, again, 6,737. TSA Administrator David Pekowski expressed concern about the high number of unloaded firearms, emphasizing the unnecessary risk they pose to everyone at TSA checkpoints. And I'm going to pause on that for a minute because I have flown with a firearm before. And there's a protocol that you have to do. And you check it before you should check it before you go to the airport. If not, you're not a responsible gun owner. And it was a handgun. It was a pistol. It wasn't anything like weird. And it had to be checked in my bag, checked in the luggage, and the ammo had to be separate from the firearm, and the firearm had to be locked up, like in whatever apparatus you were transporting it with. But these people, they just walk up right in a post 9/11 society, walk right up to TSA with a loaded gun. So obviously none of these people did anything with it. Let's hope that they weren't planning to do anything nefarious with it once they got on the plane. I would imagine most of them weren't. Most of them probably were just exercising their Second Amendment right. But I mean, come on, responsible gun ownership, people. And you never know. You throw your bag up on that belt. How do you know it's not going to go off? That's what I'm saying. Now, passengers, as I was saying, are allowed to travel with firearms in checked bag. I should have just read this and I wouldn't have had to say my spiel. I forget sometimes what I put in my notes. But you are allowed to travel with firearms in checked baggage, provided they are unloaded and stored in a locked, hard-sided container, separate from the ammo. And you have to declare it to the airline. It is mandatory. The two busiest airports, Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International and Dallas-Fort Worth International, had the highest numbers found, respectively 451 in Atlanta and 378 in Dallas. The biggest, most common reason that's been cited is forgetfulness. They forget that they're carrying firearms in their carry-on baggage, which reflects a broader trend of increased gun ownership and variations in local and state laws. My concern is forgetting that you have a gun. That's my concern. But what do I know? What do I know? When a firearm is found at a security checkpoint, TSA contacts local law enforcement to handle the situation. Penalties for the passenger may include arrest or citation, fines of up to $15,000, and a minimum 5-year revocation of TSA pre-check eligibility and enhanced screening. Might not be a big deal, but if you're going through those airports on the reg, then you probably want to make sure you have that. So, America, let's chat about this. I'm so tired of the U.S. doing everything but preventing firearms. Why aren't you preventing it? Can't answer that question for you. So, not a lot of questions seems on this one, but yeah, it's a little. If you have a gun, just don't forget that you have it. If you want to travel with it, cool. Do it the right way. There's protocols. Something called Google. It's very simple to find this out. Very simple to find it out. Now, I saved one of my favorites for last. And if you heard what I talked about earlier, you probably know what it is. So, without further ado, we have some Keefe D and Tupac Shakur updates. Let's get it up there. There it is. I chose TMZ because I just love. I mean, look at this. Beautiful. They sensationalize it so much. Now, if you aren't familiar with this, let me give you just a brief recap because it's been a little while since we've talked about this. This handsome fellow right here is Keefe D, Dwayne Davis. He was a Southside Compton Crips shot caller. He and Suge Knight are the only two people left alive from the night of those cars and Tupac's death. Obviously, the man on the right is Tupac. Suge Knight is serving a prison sentence right now for manslaughter, where he hit somebody with a car and put the car in reverse to hit him again. Keefe D has spent the last 30 odd years, 25, 30 years of his life bragging about being in the car, bragging about being the shot caller. And so he was arrested in Vegas back in September, and he's awaiting trial. He's pled not guilty. But he's now been granted bail for $750,000. So what does this mean? Well, it means that if he can afford to get out of jail, then he can get out of jail. But Keefe D appeared in a Vegas court where his legal team argued that he was not a danger to society and not a flight risk. He is in his 60s, requesting a release until the trial. He's been in the Clark County Jail, as I said, since late September, when he was initially indicted for Tupac's murder, which was the first breakthrough in a very, very, very long time. Keefe D has claimed to have been in the car with Tupac on the night of the shooting in 1996, except he denies being the trigger man, and they miswrote this. He was in the other car, not in the car with Tupac. Tupac was riding passenger with Suge Knight driving. His legal team questioned why it took so long for authorities to arrest him in the first place if he was considered dangerous and known to be associated with Tupac's murder, which, again, he's been bragging about it for years. I'm not on Keefe D's side. I'm just stating the obvious. Prosecutors have argued that Keefe D is a cold-blooded killer and opposed his release, but the judge decided to grant bail set at $750,000. Now, if he's able to post bail, he will be placed under house arrest with electronic monitoring until his trial. But until he's able to pay it, he's going to sit his butt in jail. Now, I've said, you guys know, or maybe you don't know, big Tupac fan here. I feel like his murder. I don't even feel his murder does deserve justice. It doesn't matter what I feel. His murder deserves justice. Biggie's murder deserves justice. Every murder deserves justice. I'm still convinced that Diddy paid for the hit. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying as a fact. Don't want Diddy to come sue me. But I believe that he is the one. And that's something that Keefe D has said too. So, any questions on this one? It looks like there are not any questions. So we are now at a point where we can chat about whatever y'all would like for a few minutes. A lot of stories tonight, though, guys. Which one did you find the most interesting? In fact, if you're watching this later, drop that in the comments. Which one did you find? What did you guys find most interesting? Beth asked me off topic. Did you see if the Grizzlies got $1 million judgment from the government? I have not seen that, but I will put that on my list to look at for the next time we do this. I'd like to make that note right now, right in front of y'all. Not everybody all at once. Well, seriously, what was y'all's favorite What was y'all's favorite story that you guys heard tonight? If not, we'll just end the live and that'll be that. Y'all be very quiet over there. Well, I can't talk to myself. So, for any case requests that you want me to do, this is not the forum for it, but TikTok, or you're welcome to email me any suggestions at Justin's, Justins, on TikTok at gmail.com. Or if you go to the link in my bio or my website, justinontiktok.com, you can also scroll down to a jot form and let me know the information on the case you would like me to talk about. This format, in my opinion, at the end of it, is not necessarily supposed to be a chat like we do on TikTok. I'm happy to go on TikTok after this for a little while, for sure. But I'm trying to do this in a news format, and hopefully gain some traction here on YouTube. And that's the goal, at least. And hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully it does well. So, okay, if I was going to do, let's ask another question. You guys like the de-extinction one, it seems. Pink Petal's never going to fly again. You can fly, just don't do it apparently on a Boeing if you can help it, is apparently the lesson from this story. Or hopefully Boeing gets their shit together, because they've made jets for a long time. So, all right. Samaja, I've just started doing this. I've done 2 nights in a row. We'll see if I do 3 nights in a row, I suppose. I'll probably take a break over the weekend and not do it. Save things till Monday. Post on TikTok. But this one, well, the thing is, then, I'm glad that you guys like it. I love getting the feedback on it. Prince Andrew was scary. You know what? For fun, just for funsies, let's get this pulled back up for y'all. There it is. Let's put that up there. Full screen. This puppet is the shit nightmares are made out of. So, Shannon, you're basically saying I should do videos on every scene, your favorites, or I should do videos on TikTok on every story that I did. Should I have given y'all a trigger warning on this one? Well, here's the other things. If you don't follow, I'm guessing most of y'all in here probably do follow me on YouTube. That's why you're here. If you don't, please hit the follow button. Anyways, we are on the road to 10,000, and I can tell you as right now, we sit at the time I'm making this 5877. So we have had some decent growth on this. Judy the lawyer asks, is that actually the puppet? Yes, this is actually the puppet. This is it. And apparently he loved it. The nice thing about this format, though, is that even if you're coming in late or watching at a different time, please make sure to comment your favorite thing too. I would love to know. Thank you, Katie. I appreciate you. Let's see if we got an uptick. 5878. Thank you. Drop something, but I will say that just so y'all know, I have a podcast. If you don't know already, it's called 50 Words for Murder. I only drop 1 episode a month. I publish it on Spotify, but it goes out to everywhere podcasts are heard. Oh, I got you, Chen. You were just giving them a summary. That goes out everywhere podcasts are heard. I'm definitely trying to grow that as well. So please give that a listen. Give it to a follow. We have great guests, great stories, and it's only once a month. My personal favorite episode that I've done is the Tupac one, but there's also others. So, anyways, that's I guess that's it for the night. Then we will end this stream, and I will head back to TikTok, and we can chat there for a little bit before I go to bed. But I'm going to leave it on this note. I'm going to move back. I'm going to completely didn't mean to do that. I'm going to move myself completely from the stage as I bring in our music. And hope you guys have a good night. And definitely make sure to drop your comments on this. And any suggestions, feel free. I will see you guys over on TikTok.